The night everything broke was a Tuesday. I was staring at the faint glow of my wife Sarah's phone on her nightstand at 2 in the morning, the light cutting through the darkness of our Chicago bedroom. She'd always been a heavy sleeper, but lately she guarded that phone like it held state secrets. A tiny notification bubble, a heart emoji from a name I didn't recognize, lit up the screen for just a second. My own heart hammered against my ribs. I'd spent weeks ignoring the cold silences, the late nights she called work dinners, and the way she'd flinch when I touched her. But a heart emoji at 2 a.m. That wasn't a work dinner. That was something else entirely. That was the moment I realized the life I thought I had was a complete and utter lie. If you genuinely enjoy our stories, please subscribe to the channel. Tell us where you're from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to know how far our story flows. For 10 years, Sarah and I had built a life together. We met in college, two broke kids with big dreams, and slowly pieced together a world for ourselves. A brownstone in Lincoln Park, a life filled with laughter and friends. I thought we were invincible. But the woman sleeping next to me was a stranger. The change had been gradual. First it was the new, expensive clothes. Then, the secretive phone calls she'd take out on the balcony, her voice a low murmur against the city hum. When I asked, it was always the same dismissive answer. "It's just work, Mark. You wouldn't understand." She started treating me like I was an inconvenience. A piece of old furniture she hadn't gotten around to throwing out yet. The humiliation was a slow poison. One evening, we were at a dinner party with friends. She spent the entire night laughing at jokes told by this slick real estate guy, Daniel. He was all flashy smiles and a expensive watch. She barely looked at me. When he put his hand on the small of her back to guide her through the crowd, I saw it. A brief, knowing glance between them. It was so fast I almost convinced myself I imagined it. But I didn't. That night, I went through our credit card statements. A charge for 2 at a fancy restaurant on Michigan Avenue, on a night she told me she was working late. Hotel bar tabs from the peninsula, a place we could never afford. The puzzle pieces were scattered, but a horrifying picture was starting to form. My breaking point came a week later. I came home early, wanting to surprise her. I found her on the phone in our kitchen, her back to me. "I can't, Dan," she whispered, her voice laced with a frustration I'd never heard her use with me. "He's just so predictable. I need to be careful. I'll see you Friday." She hung up and turned, her face dropping when she saw me standing in the doorway. "Mark, you're home early?" The lie was so effortless, so practiced. "Who's Dan?" I asked, my voice barely a whisper. She scoffed, her eyes turning cold. "He's a client. God, are you spying on me now?" "You're so insecure." She brushed past me, leaving the scent of her perfume and the chill of her deception hanging in the air. That night, I slept on the couch. I didn't sleep. I just lay there, replaying every lie, every cold shoulder, every dismissive wave of her hand. The love was gone. In its place was a cold, hard knot of betrayal. And in that darkness, a different feeling began to grow. The desire for justice? The next morning, I was a different man. The heartbroken husband was gone, replaced by someone cold and strategic. My mind went into overdrive. I remembered something from years ago. Sarah had set up a second private social media account to follow home decor and artists she liked. A secret escape, she called it. She'd given me the password once, jokingly, telling me it was where she kept her real thoughts. She'd deleted everything from her main accounts, wiped her call logs, but she was arrogant. She'd forgotten the secret account. That night, I logged in. It was all there. A digital diary of her affair. Pictures of her and Daniel in Miami, laughing on a hotel balcony, messages filled with a passion she hadn't shown me in years. "Can't wait to leave him and be with you," one message read. "He has no idea," said another. I saved everything. Screenshots, photos, chat logs. Creating a thick folder of my own personal hell. My hands shook, but my resolve was steel. I hired the best divorce lawyer in Chicago. I showed him the folder. His eyes widened. "This is a tactical nuke," he said, a grim smile on his face. "We laid the trap. We froze our joint accounts, filed for divorce, citing infidelity, and attached every single piece of evidence." The petition was served to her at her office, in front of all her colleagues. I wasn't there, but I heard she just crumpled. The social trap came next. Daniel was married. His wife, A quiet woman I'd met once, had no idea. I sent an anonymous package to her. Inside was a single photo, Sarah and Daniel kissing on that Miami balcony. No note, just the picture. I also sent the evidence to Sarah's parents, the two people who always told me I was the best thing that ever happened to their daughter. The fallout was biblical. Daniel's wife left him, taking him for everything. His reputation was shattered. Sarah's world imploded. Her parents cut her off. Her friends, seeing the raw evidence of her betrayal, abandoned her. She was left with nothing but the consequences of her choices. She tried to fight it in court, but it was a joke. The judge looked at the evidence and then at her, his expression a mask of disgust. She lost everything: the house, her savings, her reputation. The day the divorce was finalized, I saw her across the courtroom at the Daily Center. She looked hollowed out, a ghost of the woman I once loved. There was no triumph in it for me. Just a vast, empty silence where our life used to be. I walked out of that courtroom and didn't look back. I sold the brownstone and moved out of the city. I needed new air, a new life. Sometimes late at night, I think about her, not with anger anymore, but with a strange, cold pity. She had everything and threw it all away for a cheap thrill. My revenge wasn't loud or explosive. It was quiet, precise, and absolute. It was the simple, brutal act of showing her the truth in a mirror she couldn't break. I destroyed her world not with rage, but with her own words, her own pictures, her own lies. The end.